very good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to Eat. It is Wednesday, and this is the breakfast show. My name is Sharon Kalimbola. Riding solo this morning. Hopefully, later in the show, I will have people to talk to. But right now, you and I out there, we are having a conversation. Let's talk. However, we are going to zoom in some of the stories that made headlines. We'll look at the money markets. We'll also look at the health corner and see how best we can start others on healthy notes, and also the morning boost like he always does, the fitness puppy. Let's go straight into that, and later on we'll look at what other segments we have here on the show. Good morning.
Hello guys, it's Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy, here at Cho's Fitness Gym in Kablonga. So today guys, I'm going to show you a shoulder tap. So some of you may be asking, what's a shoulder tap? Okay, we go. So you stand here, that's the edge from the mat here, then you crawl. You crawl until your body becomes straight. Then you start tapping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, that was 1. So I would like to tell you why the shoulder taps works on. So the shoulder taps, it's actually in form of a prank. So it works on your abs as well as your shoulder and your arms. So I'm going to go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. So the shoulder taps, like I said earlier on, its print target is on the abs. So some of you may call it transverse abdominals. That's a 6-pack, of course. And also the obliques, which is the sides of the waist. That's where the shoulder taps works on. Let me go for the last one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed that clip. Remember, you can also watch it later after the show. Okay, you've been with me, Harrison, aka the Fitness Puppy. Remember, we are here at Cho's Fitness Gym. Remember, you can also get your fitness attire here. We have news talk in the view. Bye bye. Keep up watching Camnet TV, not any other channel.
There you have it. The guy, he calls himself the fitness puppy. I'm not sure why he does that, but obviously because of the nature of his job at Chelsea Gym, just right here in Kablonga, in case you want to go there and talk to him, do a bit of consultancy, and he will advise what type of exercise you need to do. Don't just go to the gym, don't just run around. These people are professionals, and they will advise you depending on how much you want to probably lose weight, to just keep fit. And most of the times when we talk about going to the gym, people think it's losing weight. Sometimes it's just keeping fit, sometimes it's even gaining weight. So these guys are really good at it. They will advise you what you need to do. However, these 5, 6, 7 minutes workouts, they're aimed at giving you just a boost in the morning. Every one of us needs these exercises regardless of where you are. It could be in the comfort of your home, it could be in the yard. Just run around, do 1 or 2 things just to flex your muscles and to help you start your day. I know somebody that does 9 kilometers road runs every morning, because they feel when they do that, after getting tired, they freshen up, they feel so fresh and ready to hit the day with the enthusiasm that they need. Let's look at the health corner while we're still talking about staying healthy.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. So this week we are talking about tuberculosis, and we have highlighted what is tuberculosis, and we've said that tuberculosis is an infection that results from being infected by the bacteria, Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And this infection can be transmitted from person to person through aerosols that are released in the air, and the other person inhales those aerosols that are infected, and so they end up having the infection as well. We also say that the risk factors include people who have HIV, people who have diabetes, people who are smokers, alcohol takers, and also people who abuse drugs. Then people who are also staying with somebody who has TB, especially if it's a multi-drug resistant TB, are also at risk of having this TB infection. So today I want to understand what are some of the signs and symptoms. How can you tell that you have diabetes or you are having tuberculosis, So what are some of the signs and symptoms of tuberculosis? So one of the signs is that people with tuberculosis will present with a cough. They might have a cough that is not going away, and sometimes it might even, usually it goes for about 2 or more weeks. So you might be having a cough for 2 or more weeks, and this cough might be associated with chest pain. They might also have fever as well, and they would usually have night sweats. So usually in the night they would sweat so much such that they would be very wet in the night. So if you find somebody who is sweating so much at night, they are coughing, they are having a fever, then you might be suspecting that they have TB. The other symptoms that are very common in people who have TB is that they would have weight loss. So they would present with weight loss where they are not, they're losing weight, and also they might have fatigue as well. So they will be feeling very tired and just generally not feeling too well. Then also, depending on which part of the body is affected, TB can present in so many other ways because it affects so many other parts of the body. So for example, if people who have meningitis or TB meningitis where it has affected the brain, they might present with a headache. So they might be having this headache that is not going away and it's just there for some time, and also have these other classic symptoms that we have talked about. They might also have seizures or a coma, confusion, because it's affecting their brain. Then also people who have tuberculosis that has affected their kidneys, they might present with issues to do with the urinary system. So they might be having pain when urinating, they might not be urinating well, they might be having pain in the back because the kidneys are located somewhere in the back. So they would have some kind of pain in the back, abdominal pain. So depending on which body is affected, which part is affected, again, the people would present differently. So if it's the skin, they would have skin lesions. So they would have some kind of skin lesions, whether they're just some nodules in the skin that can be seen and palpated. They might also have other lesions. If it's in the lymph nodes that are affected, they might have lesions in the lymph nodes that can be palpable and seen as well. So these are some of the symptoms that people with TB can present with. If TB has affected the spine or the back, they would have back pain. So they might have some kind of a back pain that is not going away. So these are some of the symptoms that you can look out for people with TB or people that will be suspecting to have TB. And if you suspect anyone to have TB, don't hesitate to take them to the hospital as soon as possible to seek treatment early and to be able to prevent other people from getting this condition or this infection as well. So today we're talking about the signs and symptoms of TB, and we say that some of the classic signs or the signs that really show that someone has TB is that they would have a cough, they would have they would be having a fever, they would have chest pain as well. And then also they might have night sweats, they would have weight loss because they might not be eating too well and just having a poor appetite. Then they might also experience other symptoms depending on the part of the body that is affected. So they would have urinary symptoms where they're having pain when urinating, abdominal pain. They might have back pain if it has affected the spine. They might have confusion, seizures, and even a headache if it has affected the brain or the meninges. So if you know anyone with TB, make sure you can take them to the hospital as quickly as possible. If you have missed any other episodes that we talk about here on the Health Corner, make sure you also watch my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya Siameka. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page, which is Dr. Nakubena Mfaya Siameka. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again next time. Stay healthy and stay blessed.
There you have it, Dr. Mufaya. There always brings us information that is important to us. Recently, the country was commemorating the World TB Day, and the theme was basically talking about us taking a step at individual level to ensure that this disease is curbed and people that are affected are supported in the best way possible. And she basically has been talking about the prevention, and if at all you have it, what you're supposed to do, prevent others from getting it. It's also airborne, and therefore those that are in this situation needs to take care of themselves in a particular way so that they do not spread the disease to everyone. However, what comes out very clear is that it is curable and it's not a death sentence. Therefore, when you are diagnosed with tuberculosis, you don't need to feign, you don't need to actually think I'm dying in a minute. There's always something that can be done, and it's important that you get tested quickly when you start noticing these symptoms, such as night sweats, such as maybe getting tired, a persistent cough. Those are the common symptoms of tuberculosis, and therefore you need to be observant of the people around you, yourself, and when you start noticing these persistent symptoms, visit the health center and get tested, get proper medical attention. You can also suggest some of those medical topics that you want the doctor to tackle for you. At least she will give you brief facts about certain diseases then you can know and understand something about them before you visit that health facility for more information. That is what the doctors have for us. Let's look at how the kwacha is faring against the major convertibles. The euro is buying at 20 kwacha 87 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 28 ngwe. The Great British Pound is at 23 kwacha 77 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 24 ngwe. The United States dollars is at 19 kwacha 11 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 49 ngwe. The South African rand is at 1 kwacha 04 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 06 ngwe. Those are your morning markets as of today, the 12th of April 2020. Is it 12th today though? Is it? Oh, yes, indeed. 12th of April 2023. I actually missed my friend's birthday because his birthday is on the 11th and it was yesterday. I actually thought it's today. Sorry. One of those things that happened. Don't know Lashali. But happy belated birthday to you, friend, in case you are just watching. Obviously, you know that I'm talking about you. Okay, so let's look at some of the stories that made headlines as of yesterday. The opposition Patriotic Front says the party has taken keen interest in the communique that was released after the Democratic Summit, which was held on the 29th to 30th of March 2023, stating that the Article 8 of the said communique spoke about the LGBTQ rights. Speaking to Camnet TV News, party Deputy Media Director Edwin Lefwekela says the communique has concerned the party as it was handed out to all participating countries at the summit, Zambia included, and has called on the church to take interest in the matter. Meanwhile, United Party for National Development UPND media consultant Mark Sumoe says the country has nothing to worry about as a referendum would need to be held to pass such laws, labeling the sentiments from the opposition party as political propaganda. Let's look at the story. We'll also look at the story Miriam did over Edith Nawake, and we'll hear some of her comments that she passed regarding the UPND administration and how the country is moving towards economic development. Let's look at these two stories.
Events leading up to the Democratic Summit that was held on 29th and 30th March 2023, where Zambia was co-hosting the summit alongside the United States of America, were characterized by opposition from some political parties like the Patriotic Front PF and the Economic and Equity Party opposing the summit and the scheduled visit of the United States of America Vice President Kamala Harris, accusing the United States of America of advocating for LGBTQ+ rights. With both the Democratic Summit and the visit of the USA Vice President gone, the ruling United Party for National Development UPND have been indicating that the opposition have been put to shame as none of what they anticipated had been discussed. PF Deputy Media Director Edwin Ifekelo, however, says the party is currently studying a communique which was handed out to all participating countries at the end of the summit assembled by the USA, stating that Article 8 under the communique talks about human rights, among them LGBTQ+ rights.
You saw what happened in terms of the communique that was established at the end of that Democratic Summit. And one of the issues now that the church has to grasp about is the issue of Article 8 under that communique, which is talking about sexual orientation. Because generally what Zambia has done is to sign to LGBT, putting it into law, that we have no issues, we do not object to the issues of LGBT, because that's basically what we have done. That communique with an American emblem on top, if you had an opportunity to see it, was just drafted by the Americans themselves. And they just shoved it on the summit, the membership of the summit, those who attend the summit, including the government of UPND, and told them these are the resolutions.
UPND media consultant Maximue has, however, described the sentiments as political propaganda, noting that passing such laws would require the holding of a referendum.
The idea of the PF raising those things can be seen as far back as 2016. Themselves, when they made a proposal to amend the Bill of Rights, they included a clause on protecting minority rights. It is on that basis, among other reasons, that we collapsed that Bill of Rights amendment. Because we are questioning them. Who are these minority people? This will give rise or an opportunity for proponents of gay rights to push in their bid. And based on that, among other issues, we collapsed the referendum. And so, it is just mere politics. It gives no insight on exactly what has been done. Then when it comes to international conventions like the summit, the only way that resolutions of the international conventions can be enforced in Zambia is when they have been domesticated. By domestication we mean you must create subsidiary legislation, a legal framework.
He has reaffirmed the stance of the party, stating that they adhere to Christian values. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That's wrong. We should be specific and say Hakainde obtained goods by false pretense. He said that minimum will be 50 kwacha, is now 462 kwacha. He said fuel will be cheap, now is 30 kwacha. He said electricity, he said you'll be giving 12 bags of fertilizer. He gave out 2 bags to a group of 30 people.
Okay, let's take it to that.
Those that have been there, tell us whoever lied to get into power. Tell us. This one is the most famous one.
Okay,
he has obtained goods by false pretense. We should report him to the police because it's a criminal offense to obtain goods by false pretense. Votes are goods. Now we have the toll gates. What does Hakainde do? He takes the toll gates and gives them to Diego Cassidi. That's government money which I need to open up rural areas. Anyway, by nature, it depends on which school you went to. And all of us can say we have degrees. Bambi barakoperana paunza. Bambi bachita multiple choice. So once baratupera my degrees, whether now pass and pass, as long as baland that you even now pass. But how you pass, they don't ask. So you can say I'm an economist or a businessman, but I mean, show us your prowessness. Show us you're a businessman. Show us your acumen.
There you have it, Edith Nawakwi there, the Forum for Democracy and Development president, probably the only viable female president for a very long time, I must say. We hope to see more. We have Chishala Kateka now, and we had Judith Kabemba at some point. I'm not sure if she's still holding on to the faction Democratic Party party itself, DP. That was DPP, also Democratic Party. Oh my goodness, who does that? But anyways, there you have it. She was talking about various issues, and she appeared on one of our flagship programs here on Monday, and we did have an extract from that, and that is what we were just running this morning. Also, the Deputy Media Director for the Patriotic Front still talking about the Democratic Summit that Zambia co-hosted on the 29th of March, and yeah, people are still talking about it. And for many people in the ruling party, they say that was a testament that Zambia's democratic tenets are a shining example to the world out there, and no wonder we were chosen as part of hosting that Democracy Summit. A number of issues were talked about prior to that. Different stakeholders, especially those from the opposition political parties, even wanted to protest against this summit because they thought it had hidden agendas that Zambia does not subscribe to. However, they were not talked about, and they are now saying those things were hidden in the communique. But then again, Zambia is party to a lot of international obligations and local obligations as well as a sovereign state. So we will look at those things as a country together. I think that's what the communications consultant for the UPND Maximo was saying. They say in an event that we want to change certain things, we'll have to go flat out and talk to everybody in the country and probably hold a referendum which will determine whether we should change certain laws in the country regarding this most vicious thing that they are talking about, the LGBTQ rights. However, this morning we are talking about the lasting solution to political violence. A look at the by-elections that are happening in 3 parts of the country on the 20th of April 2023. That is one in Serenje, in Chililawombwe and Lupososhi district. And these by-elections have been characterized by a number of incidences, with the most terrifying last week when there was a confrontation between the Socialist Party members and the Forum for, what do you call this? United Party for National Development members. They're both reds. I don't know why they would actually start fighting. So we got different views and different perspectives from different people. But then again, this is just a ward by election. Why do you have such violence? Why do you have gunshots? Why do you have pangas? You know, people should just share the message of goodwill, the message of hope, the message of development to people, and allow them to decide. So we are asking this morning, what is the lasting solution, especially that Zambia is deemed to be a great and growing democracy out there. Looking at where we're coming from, we just co-hosted the Democracy Summit. It speaks volumes. And then a few days after that, we start this violent behavior towards one another simply because we want to win an election. Let's talk about it. What is the lasting solution to this? A look at 3 by-elections that are slated for next week, 20th of April 2023. Chililawombwe also recorded a bit of violence here and there. Serenje, that is Muchindu, is it Muchinda ward, something like that. Then also Lupososhi also recorded back and forth, you know, issues that are not really pleasing to the eye, and others have called for a postponement of these elections. However, the Electoral Commission of Zambia came out strong and warned everybody, each political party that was perpetuating violence, stating that they will not hesitate to invoke certain laws that are vested in them to just probably make a decision in terms of how these elections are supposed to move. Remember that the Electoral Commission of Zambia may not always say this election has been postponed, but may stop the campaign period. That has happened before here in Lusaka during the 2021 general elections, where in Kanyama constituency elections were banned for about 2-3 weeks because of political violence, so that peace can reign and that people can go to the polls to vote. We spoke to Operation Young Vote, and we also spoke to anti-voter apathy with regards to these violent spates that were recorded in Serenje, specifically as a yardstick. They were really disappointed, and they called for the police to up their game and ensure that people's lives are protected. According to Operation Young Voter, hopefully I will be with him here on set and to discuss more on this issue. He talked about disenfranchising people because of these violent activities. And to some extent, I do agree with him, because I wouldn't want to find myself in a situation where there is violence. Literally, for me, when that happens, I'm not going there. So I understand when they say women don't want to take in politics because probably there's violence, because there's a lot of unfairness. So these violent activities will increase the voter apathy. You know, usually in a by-election there's apathy, but then when there's violence, it even becomes more. So anti-voter apathy also raised their concern to say people with disabilities, the youths, the women, the aged may be discouraged to go and vote because they feel, I may be found in a fracas when I'm on the queue trying to cast my vote, so I'd rather just stay home. So this is what we are talking about this morning. Well, in case you want to talk about something different, you can still call us and tell us what is happening in your various localities. You may be shocked that we will be there to talk to you. However, let's look at also some of the stories that we did yesterday while we are thinking about finding a lasting solution to political violence. The African Chamber of Trade and Commerce has called for enhanced trade in the cotton industry among African countries to ensure that cotton does not leave Africa in a raw form. Speaking at a media interaction in Lusaka Tuesday, Chamber Executive Chair Mary Anchang says Africa has continued to lose huge sums of resources through the export of raw cotton material when the continent has the capacity to add value to the product. Let's look at this.
Cotton production in Zambia has over the past few years been dropping owing to a number of factors, among them the quality of seed, quality of input, and the pricing of the commodity on the Zambian market. Additionally, Zambia has for many years been exporting raw cotton material to outside of the African continent, which has been enabling the country lose huge sums of resources. To that effect, the African Chamber of Trade and Commerce says it is working to ensure that Africa stops the export of raw cotton material to other continents to ensure that the African continent benefits from cotton production.
Trying to see how we get access to all these industrial machines. We were told that it's very expensive, Africans cannot afford. And we're like, if Africans cannot afford it, but the Africans farm, can we continue to transport and export our cotton that is transformed outside the continent and sent back to us as second-hand clothes, whereas we could originally actually have access to the cotton locally, produce new things, and it actually sell to other people? What does it take to do that? We need capital. So, through the FICOTA project, we decided to bring in partners.
The Chamber Executive Chair also says Zambia has been selected to be a lead producer of cotton, which will be sent to Morocco for processing so that the finished product can benefit the African continent.
That is made in Cameroon, that's produced in Cameroon, is bought by the Germans, bought by the Chinese, bought by everybody. We couldn't compete. So because we couldn't compete, we decided to create our own farms and own our cotton. We shall produce cotton in Zambia. We shall ship it to Kribi, and we shall have the manufacturing plant to transport, to transform. Why is it, and some people ask, why would you produce cotton in Zambia to go and transform in Kribi? And we ask, for how many decades have we been producing cotton and sending it to the USA, to Vietnam, to China, to Bangladesh, to Switzerland, to London? How about we producing cotton and selling it within the continent?
Meanwhile, Cotton Board of Zambia says it is concerned with the reduction in cotton production and is optimistic that with the African Chamber of Trade and Commerce coming on board, cotton production in Zambia will go up.
There's been a reduction in production over the last 10 years. We used to bring in about $89 million in forex. The reduction in production is alluded to a few facts that surround cotton production. One of them is seed, the quality of seed, the quality of inputs, the way the cotton seed is priced. We don't have a functional textile. We are not handling the whole value chain in the country, so we probably export 99% of what we're producing in this country.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Vandalism to public property in Zambia has become endemic to a point where government institutions are forced to spend huge sums of money on repairs. Such incidents are said to occur mostly in densely populated areas with individuals riding on a common narrative, never bomber, and they sell under the pretense of making a living. This counterproductivity behavior is what has led to the power utility ZESCO Limited to have serious challenges in providing quality service to citizens. The most vandalized items are overhead and underground cables, as well as ground and pole-mounted transformers. Not so long ago, a man was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment by the Lusaka Magistrate Court after he was caught stealing ZESCO cables. April 11, 2023, ZESCO Limited says it has recovered a total of 3.223 kgs of copper material from 2 suspects. The 2 culprits are said to have been arrested by a combined team of Zambia Police and ZESCO Security.
On Saturday, 8th of April, our security officers had an operation, a joint operation with the Zambia Police, where they were following up information from members of the public that there were people that were receiving and buying cables and materials that looked like Zesco materials. So when our people made a follow-up, they found a truck full of these materials that are here, and 2 suspects who were apprehended. And when their homes were searched, more materials were recovered, and a total of 3.233 kgs of these copper materials were recovered from those 2 individuals.
It is regrettable that theft of Zesco installations have continued despite the law prescribing a maximum sentence against those found wanting.
Vandalism now in Lusaka, or the whole country, is so rampant. We are here to show you what materials have been recovered, copper materials, because the vandals have been stealing our cables just to remove the copper wire in it. I'll be able to show you that my colleague, when he was speaking to you, he said these were Zesco-like materials. But I want to tell you that the materials here, 99% of it is Zesco materials.
Meanwhile, the power utility has reminded members of the public of its 30-day amnesty to all those that have illegal electricity connections to report to the power utility or face prosecution.
And then we will negotiate with you. You will not be prosecuted if you come within this window. After the window, the April window is gone, you are on your own, and we will treat you just like any other suspect. So, if I were you, I would be smart enough and take advantage of this window, amnesty window, to engage with us so that we negotiate and so that we legalize your power supply.
Given this scenario, vandalism of Zesco property must be kept urgently to reduce cost on repairs and replacement of damaged equipment. It is also the responsibility of the local leadership in various communities, especially in densely populated areas, to sensitize young people about the danger of vandalizing Zesco installations. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The current political violence that was witnessed in Muchinda Ward of Serenge District in Central Province, where Socialist Party members, led by their party leader Fred Membe, and United Party for National Development UPND supporters crushed, has been condemned by stakeholders who have reminded the UPND that the former ruling party, the PF, was voted out of office due to violence. Operation Young Vote Executive Director Ges Nurenda feels the police officers are not discharging their duties well in ensuring that political violence is curtailed.
Remember that on 12 August 2021, Zambians voted electoral violence out of office. The PF was so violent to the point that they were, they accepted as if it was normal to be violent. But then even this, the UPND, we see that they also in a way committing, some violent activities. But then the police continue not to, take serious these matters. For us as an organization, we would like to appeal to the police. If the electoral violence is going to be kept and it will be a thing of the past, it will be behind us, we need the police to be professional, number one. Secondly, we need the police to be impartial.
Mr. Nurenda has further appealed to the Electoral Commission of Zambia to suspend all political parties engaging in violence from taking part in any by-election, regardless of whether they are ruling or opposition political parties.
The ECZ must weigh in terms of the magnitude of the violence. Is the violence enough, or too much that it calls for the postponement or the cancellation altogether of an election? The ECZ must determine that.
And Anti-Voter Apathy Project Executive Director Richwell Mulwani is disappointed at the fact that violence has continued to surface under the UPND, further calling on police officers to provide an enabling environment for people to participate in elections.
We didn't expect that this is going to continue. We are coming from a situation of political violence in the previous regime, where we used to see people being hacked, people being beaten, and actual elections were never conducted in a very fair environment. So that where there's violence, definitely don't expect people to go and vote. We have people with disability, we have the women, expectant mothers who want to go and cast a vote, but because of violence, they cannot actually make that decision to go and vote on a particular day. So really, as AVAP, we feel that the police must do their work.
The Socialist Party leader Fred Membe and 2 other party members were Sunday arrested and formally charged with 2 counts of assault and threatening violence, while no member of the UPND has so far been arrested. Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
Welcome back. Those are some of the stories that we ran, and the previous story, the immediate previous story, is what we did on Monday with Ges Nyirenda, who is the Operation Young Vote Executive Director. We also talked to Anti-Voter Apathy Executive Director, Mr. Richwell Mulwani, talking about the incident that happened in Serenje, Muchinda Ward in particular. The violence that ensued between the United Party for National Development as well as the Socialist Party. My concern is that they are both reds, meaning that these are revolutionary colors. I don't understand why they should be unrevolutionary. You know, Mr. Nyirenda, welcome to this interview, or let me not say an interview, but let me just say a conversation. We are centering our conversation on the by-election slated for next week and the political violence that we witnessed. Does this speak to the fact that we are a growing democracy or a dwindling democracy? I mean, these are just by-elections. Why should we continue to record such incidences?
Let me first of all appreciate you, Sharon, for inviting me to this conversation. But also, I think Camnet TV has been, you know, on top of things with regards to bringing real issues to the general public and to the country. But also, I think let me say that I'm humbled because I mean it's not easy that you know you identify stakeholders and come and discuss such pertinent issues that really you know have an impact on national matters, but also specifically on the electoral process. I know that your question is rather tricky, the first question, but I think we'll be able to you know, delve into it and give some perspective. You talk about democracy and whether it's dwindling or it's rising or it's growing. I remember that one of the side meetings that we attended, that I participated in actually, during the Summit for Democracy, spoke to the issue of democracy on the decline, or declining democracy, DD, something like that. And a number of factors, you know, came into the discussion with regards to you know, why and how democracy is affected negatively. And one of the issues that came out during the discussion, of course, from amongst the panelists, but also from just the you know, members that attended that particular you know, side event, was the fact that you know, there are certain things that we do that really you know, take democracy on the decline. Nosedive, for example, and this is and one of those factors is actually, you know, not respecting the rule of law, but also engaging in violence. And I mean, it's quite sad that Zambia's democracy is seen to be growing on one thread, while on the other, it seems that you know, there are a number of or sections of society, sections of political parties and people, I mean, and cadres, so to say, are also bent to ensure that our democracy does not get the picture that it deserves. And really violence is one thing that has eroded some of the gains that we have made as a country, particularly. I think if you also get back to the fact that Zambia was picked to co-host this summit for democracy, because of realization by the global community that Zambia is a beacon of democracy. Zambia is a beacon of peace. If you look at, get into history and look at how we have changed political parties, governments, or even change just presidents within one political party, we really, end this, tag of us being a beacon of democracy. It was not by accident, but unfortunately, we are eroding some of those gains that we have made for ourselves as a country, and that has, some adverse effect, not only on the democratic slate or governance slate, but also even economically. It will really have a dent on ourselves.
Let's talk to this person. Hello, good morning. Hey. Good morning, thank you. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Kindly speak up. Mufulira. Okay, kindly speak up. Yes.
Okay. On the topic which we have brought, I think is very important as a country to realize that we are in compliance country, whereby we allow each and every political contribution or political party to campaign freely, without violence, without intimidation, and also allow them to contribute to the government, regardless of where you are coming from. Therefore, we have the opposition political parties in this country. We have the ruling party in this country, which is the European in charge of the government. Last year, in 2021, we were thinking about flowers. Lately, blaming you in the PF to say we are down, and these people were unleashed each other. When we entered the government, we were unleashed each other to the opposition, and people were being hurt, people were being beaten. Now, we are still doing the same thing. The same song people were singing in the last year, we are still singing this time around. Where the UPS was noticing that we are going to end the tariff system, which was total lie. The president is the other day, the partners are talking the same thing. I want to people, we are going to beat this one, we are going to wear this political rebellion, we are going to arrest this, we are going to bring this person. I stand here thinking, we are human beings, not animals. And those who are in that right, we are living, to me, these are animals. They don't even need to be derived as human beings. Let them, they belong to them. Because this behavior, if you are continuing to letting this person in this country, I'm telling you, this country will be killed. Don't kill. Because this political party is depending their own action. The only party also is depending their own action. That's how we solve it. So the election must remain by the election commission of that. If it's to suspend the election or to suspend the campaign, they will not get us where the government are being.
All right. Thank you so much there, Mr. Nyerin. A comment on our topic this morning. Would you like to speak to that?
Well, firstly, I must admit that I didn't quite get him clearly in terms of everything that he mentioned, but I did get bits and pieces. And I think he mentions that, look, last year or in 2021, we had the UPND that were victims of the violence that was happening by the PF, but again now the UPND seems to be a perpetrator, and the others have become a victim, and it's a vicious cycle. And really, I agree with him, it's a vicious cycle, but we need to end it. You know, we need to just put this vicious cycle behind us. Lest we don't qualify to be democratic, because democracy is about the people. Democracy is about divergent views. Democracy is about appreciating, different opinions from yours. Democracy is like a bouquet of flowers, okay? And a bouquet of flowers will have different colors in it. And that is what makes it a bouquet of colors. That's what makes it beautiful. And this is the democracy we are trying to preach, but also promote. But if violence comes in and people do not appreciate what others are doing, people do not appreciate divergent opinions, people do not appreciate other colors, of regalia by other political parties, then we cease to be a democracy. We cease to be a democratic country, as it were. So we need to find means and ways of curbing this violence, and it can be curbed. First of all, political will, and I know that there's political will from the head of state.
What is political will, really? Because we've talked about political will a number of times. You know, the president will stand on the podium and you say, I don't want this. But what happens is the contrary.
Absolutely.
How would you even define political will? Is it just about saying things or making pronouncements, or is it about making sure that what you pronounce upon is acted upon?
I hear you. And maybe let me, distinguish between the previous regime and this administration in terms of, maybe people will get the picture with regards to political will. When the violence was happening during the Patriotic Front reign, we saw leaders very quiet. It was like they didn't attend, and probably they felt that was protective of them. They were being protected because of the violence that their cadres were committing on the other political parties, but also on the general citizenry. So there was silence from the leadership, total silence. The silence was very loud.
In this case, Mr. Nyoni, the leadership you're talking about, is it the president?
Of course, the president and the.
But the president hasn't said anything about the previous violence.
No. Yes, I know. He has not mentioned anything now, but probably he will, and we urge him to do so. But what we have heard in this regime, and the president has repeatedly said this, he has said that if you are found on the other side of the law, you will be alone. That speaks volumes, okay? Because on the other side of the law is also being violent, because violence is against the law. So if one is found to be violent, it means that they will be on their own. Now, that is political will. Now, political will on its own cannot, change things. There is need for, some operationalization of the pronouncements, okay? And it is the institutions of governance that should help to operationalize what the president or the head of state or any other senior leader or any other person that talks about, issues that are unlawful. There's need for that to be implemented. Now, that is the missing link now. Remember that in the previous regime,
the political will was missing, but also the implementation was actually not there, because then it was like cadres were on top of everything. Cadres began to command institutions of governance like the police. Police had no say whatsoever. So it is like we are coming from that, that background. And it's like, for us, this is what we are seeing, that some police officers may still be, under trauma with that kind of arrangement, thinking that even in this administration there will be, they
will need to favor the ruling party.
Absolutely, they will need to
by default.
Yes, that's what they think now. Some officers, we know that yes, others are good enough to do the right thing. So the thing is that they have come with this trauma, and they think, maybe in Nchito is asira, if at all, nikamchita punish kada uyolo, and so on and so forth. But they need to draw an example from, is it Shapi from Sesheke?
Yeah.
He was dismissed, but then he got back his job and got it better, in a better way, because of being professional, because of being a non-partisan, because of being impartial. He was able to get, just like the Bible says, you'll be rewarded 100-fold. And this is what we expect our police men and women to do. Unfortunately, a lot of them are not actually helping this country. They are not helping this government. They must just do what is right to help Zambia.
All right, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Master.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
This is Simon calling.
From Kitwe.
Mukoshi District.
Mukoshi District. All right, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, I just want to ask the guest today. I want to be clear.
Sorry, don't hang. Your line is not very clear. Maybe kindly say that again. Yes. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I'm getting some sense out of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Hopefully the line wasn't very clear, but we hope that our guest this morning will be able to try and help you understand whatever is going on there.
Well, I think, please, you can call back and correct me if
you can equally just send the text message, and we will be able to get the message, the question clearly, so that we can respond accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. So that I don't misrepresent what he has said. But from the bits and pieces that I have, captured, it's like he's saying, if a cadre is convicted, and is it right that they can contest again as a councillor? And I think that's what he said. Look, laws are clear in this country. For one to qualify to contest as in any elective position, whether it's councillor, member of parliament, council chairperson, mayor, and president, there are qualifications that are tabulated or stipulated or espoused, if you like, in the laws, the constitution and the other subsidiary laws. So it is not anyone to say they must be disqualified. It is just the law that disqualifies people. So if one is convicted, the law is very clear. They cannot contest. How does a convict contest an election? They can't contest. Okay?
Even if they are out?
Even if they are out, but they are given a certain period of time. Okay,
is that piece of legislation fair, Mr. Nyarinda?
It is very fair. It is very fair, because then if we are going to allow every Jim and Jack to contest, you know that. Please, I'm not judging former convicts. Some of them are good.
Some haven't reformed.
Yes, the issue is that we need people to reform, so that after they reform, then they will be able, when the society sees that you know, you are an exemplary person, you have changed, you have reformed, and you want to be a better person and contribute positively to society, then the law will allow you. Because then how would you want to rush? Today you are a convict, tomorrow you are out of you know, prison or correctional facility, then the following day you want to contest. No, you cannot. Okay, because if you and a convict means that you have been convicted by a competent court in Zambia. Okay, so and if you just go you know, kumaseos, you are not a convict. I mean, you can be you can go to remand and so on. You are not a convict. It's upon conviction, the courts of law convict you that you are found guilty, and they sentence you to a period of time, or they fine you. Then you are a convict, and the law provides that you give space for some time until you reform.
All right, in case you are just joining us, you are watching The Breakfast Show. In conversation, we have OYV Executive Director, Mr. Guest Nyarinda. We are discussing what the lasting solution is to political violence, and we are specifically placing our microscope on the 3 by-elections slated for next week, 20th of April 2023. You can have your say as well by sending us those text messages, as well as calling using the numbers that are scrolling on your screens, and give us your feedback on how best we can make this country better. It is a democracy after all, so elections are bound to happen anytime. You know, today it can be Serenje, Chililawombwe and Lupososhi. Tomorrow it can be Lusaka.
Absolutely.
It can be your area. So let's talk about this. These things keep repeating themselves. Initially, Mr. Nyarinda, you were talking about the Democracy Summit and the side meetings that you held, and looking at how democracy is being threatened. I think I also attended one of the side meetings where different stakeholders from Ghana, Uganda, Sierra Leone were talking about how the civil society is being stifled in terms of monitoring elections and so on and so forth. Bringing it back to Serenje, your comment on how the situation transpired. Obviously, by now, you have gotten the gist of exactly what happened. And going forward, what do you think we should do?
Well, again, let me say that it's unfortunate that we have continued to allow, you know, this ugly face of you know, violence, you know, continue to resurface and pop up. Every moment we have you know, elections, or we have political gatherings and so on and so forth, the campaigns as it were. It is quite unfortunate that we have continued to allow that. Now, it's Serenje. I want to mention that most parts of Zambia are very peaceful, and the people that live there, the people who are there, they are very peaceful, and they live like, you know, brothers and sisters. They live as one. But then we want, because we as politicians, we want to you know, think that because I want to win this election at all costs. I mean, that is actually, for heaven's sake, a small by-election, a word by-election. Yeah. And it is quite shocking that politicians will have the audacity to transport cadres and you know, begin to harm the people that are peaceful in their area. I know that some politicians or people on the ground have mentioned that you know, a number of these people that were causing mayhem on the people of Serenge were important. They were outsiders, and this is unacceptable. And I think we must respect jurisdictions and not transport cadres because we feel we want to win an election at all cost. It's unfair and it's unacceptable to say it you know, openly. And I think, you see, the police must do their job. And for me, you know, I have no kind words to just tell them massage them and massage this violence. We can't continue to massage the violence. Like you have said, it is today in Serenge. Tomorrow it will be in my area. Yeah. And then my children and everyone will be affected. So as the president says and other leaders say that violence in one area, it is violence everywhere. Yeah. You know, an injury in one area, it's an injury on all of us. So if the people of Serenge today are being maimed, today are being hacked, today are being shot at or whatever, we must bring this to a stop because we love Zambia. And the police should be in the forefront to do this. You know, from you know, what we heard, especially from Comrade Membe, that sometimes at some point the police were watching and he was being brutalized and the police were watching. Come on, is that a Zambia that we want? Are we adding to the democratic credentials even after just co-hosting the Summit for Democracy? No, we actually subtracting, we are eroding. We must condemn this with the the level that it has to be condemned with. But apart from just condemning, we need to do some action, and some action. The first action must begin with the police. The police are not doing us a favor. You know, they have an obligation. It's not that when they protect the opposition or when they protect whichever person, then it's a favor. No, it's not a favor. They have a duty and they must do that duty. It's an obligation. If they are not ready to do that obligation, I mean, they must leave the service. The other people must come in. That's what we need to do now. They must be professional. They mustn't look at political affiliation. Okay, the president has given you a go-ahead. If it is the cadre from the UPND that is committing violence, please handle them and take them to book and ensure that the law takes its course, because they will be alone. No one will defend them. But if you again continue to live under trauma and to fear cadres, even when you have been given your powers back, work. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's uncalled for. And I mean, I think maybe the president also needs to heighten the political will. I mean, he must just follow these things through so that his government is not dented. Because if we have examples that yes, the president actually followed through this issue, that this cadre has been causing mayhem, then everyone will learn from that. That will be an example, and no one will dare commit those atrocities, to fellow human beings. Like the first caller said, we are behaving like animals. Yeah. Okay? Why should we behave like animals? I mean, elections come and elections go. Yes. I mean, here we are, we had elections in 2021. They came and they went, okay? Serenge and the other Lupososhe and other areas will be voting on the 20th. And it will go, but then how do you want to live with your brothers, with your sisters? In what environment do you want to live? I mean, we must protect this democracy, but we must also protect this peace that we have continued, to enjoy as a people.
Also worth noting, Mr. Nyeren, that you as OIV have been monitoring elections. I'm not sure if you're monitoring these by-elections, but the issue of importing people to come and campaign in particular areas, they will come there, cause a lot of violence, and go back to their locations. While the police in Serenge, for example, I keep using it because it's the recent one, they are looking for those people, but those people are back in Lusaka. Isn't this a detriment to creating a conducive environment for people to thrive in holding these elections? Are you talking to different political parties to stop this tendency of importing cadres to wherever there's an election?
Well, it's quite tricky, I must admit, because while it must be appreciated that political parties must have, their structures on the ground that should do whatever works they need to do to enhance, their presence on the ground, yes, their visibility, and just to campaign. There's also, some kind of, we must also appreciate that there are people that go into areas to campaign, and they are so peaceful. Okay, it's unfortunate to know that this group of cadres that are violent tend to actually dent the entire political establishment and just our electoral regime and process. It's quite unfortunate. However, I think what we need to do is that we just need to identify these people that cause havoc. And no sooner do we identify them, we ensure that we report them, and so that the police will do their work and ensure that the ground is fertile for everyone to campaign peacefully, to engage and to participate peacefully. Because this cadreism and this violence, it actually infringes on the participation of the people. I mean, the persons with disabilities, how will they participate in a violent environment? The youth, how will they participate in an environment that is not conducive? The women, how will they participate effectively if at all the environment is so volatile and so on and so forth? They can't. So if we are going to really uphold and promote this democracy and ensure that our credentials continue to thrive and grow, we must actually do what is right. Yes, because look, for example, if the president or whichever president of a political party, they would want to canvass for support for their people, and they will not move alone. Okay, they will move with some entourage. Now, if at all in those entourages, presidents of political parties have people that are suspected to be hooligans, okay? And I call them hooligans because they don't actually even qualify to be called cadres, because a cadre is the one that promotes, the notions and objectives of a party. So those are hooligans and they are criminals. If those elements of criminals are there, the political parties, they must actually tell them, please, criminals remain, don't follow us. Because, and they must be dealt with in the event that they go and cause mayhem in areas where the elections are being held and campaigns are conducted. It's unfortunate that this is where we are, but to curb this, for me, it is the police. The police must deal with all these hooligans, all these criminals. They must be dealt with, and dealt with, with impartiality, and not look at who belongs to which party, which regalia are you putting on. And if you are putting on a red regalia that is UPND, then you must be protected. If you are putting on a red regalia that is Fred members, you must be dealt with. No, we are calling on the police to deal with everyone regardless of their political affiliation. And that is how and when violence is going to end in this country.
Brilliant stuff there. We've been in conversation with Mr. Ges Nyerinda. Before he leaves, though, we can't go without you commenting on the issue of millimel. It is our staple. Maybe people are fighting because they are hungry. What is the correlation there? It's possible, you know that.
Well, it's quite possible, of course. I mean, people expect...
Others actually, especially from the ruling party, have always referred to the rain season as a difficult period where prices of millimel usually go up, and because it's a planting season, there's no much. But the Food Reserve Agency has been buying maize in stock so that it should cushion such situations. Should we just accept these realities to say every rain season millimel prices will go up, there'll be no maize around, there'll be excessive exports or imports or whatever you call it, the staple food? Your general comment on what we should do to ensure that people have food at least. This is our staple. You may not have bread, but have millimel.
Yeah. Maybe let me begin by saying that any political party in power that touches the staple food, people will view them in a different connotation, and this is what is obtaining. And I think we must also be alive to this reality. Yes, we could have, challenges with regards to smuggling and so on and so forth. People buying in bulk to avert whatever may come in the future. But I think we really need to seriously plan as a country. There's need for serious planning, but also strategic planning. Okay? All this would not have happened if we had planned. I mean, we have listened, we have heard the Minister of Agriculture, in Parliament responding to questions. He would say, no, we have enough, so we can export and we'll never stop exporting, and so on and so forth. But again, if you play back those particular clips, then you begin to think or to question yourself that, but we were told that we had enough. Where is this enough gone to? Okay? Are we suddenly deficient, not having enough, and so on and so forth? So I think we really need to do what is right. But also I think the president must be on top of things. I know that there's a special committee that has been formed, which I listened to on news as I was driving here, that we need to curb this. But also I think it also goes to how are the lieutenants that the president himself has appointed performing. How are they handling their portfolios? Whether it's Minister of Health, whether it's Minister of Agriculture, whether it's Minister of Commerce, whether it's Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise, whether are they performing to the expectation of, first of all, the president himself, but also secondly, the people of Zambia? Because at the end of the day, the buck stops on the president.
Exactly.
Whatever the case, the buck will stop on the president. Here, the issue of millimel, the buck is stopping on the president. People are saying, look, you were telling us that, you know, the Tupameras will be a thing of the past. Is that true? So the president must really shake, you know, his team, so that whoever is not performing, because the buck stops on him, then it means that that lack of performance, that incompetence is actually stopping on him. So I think for me, and this is who we are as Operation Young Vote, and this is who I am, I think we need to do what is right. The issue of this no shortage of mealie meal is actually a dent. It may be resolved tomorrow, but the dent will still remain. That in this particular period, this is what happened. And people may even resort to saying, maybe if we went this way, we may even call back that particular challenge to come on us. Then they will make alternative decisions. So it is important that this issue of the crisis, mealie meal crisis, is resolved. I was buying mealie meal yesterday.
How much did you buy it?
I bought it at 215 kwacha.
That's a 25?
Yeah, 25 kg, 215 kwacha.
How long does it last in your home?
That is the...
How long does it last in your home? Let's see how much
it lasts for some time, because I think...
a month?
Yeah, close to a month or beyond.
But we have families that use that for a week.
Yeah, of course, even less than a week.
That means they'll have to buy 4 bags in a month.
Yeah.
That's like about 800 kwacha.
It's beyond 800 kwacha, actually around 1,000. So you can't, you know, have a situation where the staple food is unaffordable to the majority people. I mean, you cannot have that. Remember the song that P.K. Chishala did, okay? You can deal with any other thing and let them escalate in terms of costs and prices. But Pamala, ubunga, mutusungireko ubunga babuteko, so that we can be able to eat, because insala ila leto msevanyo, which is very true, you know, and I think the committee, or whoever has been put in that committee to help the president, must you know, run 24/7 around the clock, so that they are able to really ensure that what is right for Zambia happens with regards to the staple food.
Mr. Narendra, thank you so much for gracing our screens. You have been very helpful all the time, and please continue being available for us. To the viewers, thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. Until tomorrow, good morning.